Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at Maria Medem's book Zenith. This is out from Centrala in its English translation. This is a book I've been waiting for a really, really long time. I think when I first started this channel and I started pre-ordering books that caught my interest on Amazon, this was one of the books that I ordered in the first kind of round of pre-ordering, and it just never came out. And so eventually I canceled the order. But recently I saw a post on Instagram, I think, of someone reading it in English, and so I went searching again and was able to get it from Amazon UK. So it must have only come out in the UK market in the English translation and never made it to the States. But really excited to have a copy of it. Maria Medem is someone who I've been enjoying through Instagram and really wanting a chance to read her work in person. I think she was one of the first artists I was following that really seemed to be using the risograph. I can't say that this book is a risograph. It looks like they're kind of mimicking the patterns of a risograph, but I get the feeling this is an offset print reproducing what should be risograph done posters and things, but that's okay. It still looks beautiful. And Maria Medem's art, as you can see, is this very like clean, sparse line work with really controlled graphic colors with these really controlled, what look like risograph type of gradient fades on them to get the gradients going. And it's all just really beautifully designed, really poetic, really sparse looking kind of compositions that really, really focus on composition. Like when you're doing artwork like this, your composition's got to be locked in perfect. Any one element could throw it out of bounds. So that's one of the first things that I really enjoyed when I was seeing Maria Medem's work. Also, the kind of poetics as form, like slowed down moment to moment type of things that are in her work, along with the coloring. You can see there's a bit of like a more cartoonified, like Moebius feel to things with some of the characters. Also just this like characters meeting out in the wasteland and discussing something philosophical more, seems like Moebius-esque in nature to me, but really is coming out of like what I'm seeing a lot of in, I think, the Spanish art especially, is a lot of this poetics of form type of stuff, a lot of this very rhythmic musical type of imagery. I also know it just seems like a ton of the female comic artists that I'm really responding to are Spanish artists lately, like Christine de Dura, Laura Perez, Anna Galvin, Anna Margarita Matos, who's someone that I want to talk to. They're all really like doing cool different things in comics, so I don't know what's in the water over there, but there's something going on in the scene there that has some similarities but a lot of diversity. And Maria Medem was one of the first people I was exposed to from that. I don't know which way all the influences goes, but I'm excited to finally have one of her works. There's some really cool just perspective tricks going on throughout here, like where we've got this character outside of a door in a closed off area, and just as the perspective shifts, the way that the door's flipping in and out relative to the character, but is also see-through, makes it kind of a strange, surreal moment. And then just some of the things going on with lighting throughout is showing, dusk and dawn and daylight coming, is all really beautiful. The story itself is pretty loose and atmospheric more, which also seems to be one of the aesthetics that I'm picking up in a lot of those works. Like Laura Perez's work has that as well, where it's almost mystical in nature, and I'm enjoying that. In this book, you have two people. You have a glass blower and you have a pot maker, and they're coming together at this very, very long table out in the middle of the desert. And they're basically sharing well, not the desert, but out in the middle of nowhere, there's a long table, and they're coming together and sharing stories about their dreams. So it's a very introspective book like that. Here's another example of really cool play with perspective. Because there's not much perspective in the art, a lot of it's just flattened down to rectangles or kind of these faux perspectives like this. Like this isn't going to that horizon line by any means. There's some cool tricks being played to make that work. Like here, having the panel divided so that the perspective of like the two characters kind of makes sense as if they're sitting at a table in perspective talking to each other, but that panel divide allows her to draw this character from a little bit more like looking down past his shoulder at the table rather than across at the person across. I think that's a really cool trick. Just by cutting it off at the border, you can make this like a little bit flatter, but still make it seem connected to the larger table. So just really subtle little things. When you have such little line art and such little form described in your art, you have to be really attentive to those kind of compositional things, and that's done fantastically throughout the book. So basically, they're just going in and they're telling each other their dreams. For instance, this is one where the glass blower is working on glass, and the more he produces, the more his studio fills up with water. They're both trying to figure out also, like, someone's been sneaking in and breaking some of the glass blower's art, and they're wondering if one of them's doing it while they're sleepwalking. That's kind of the main conflict throughout the book, but I wouldn't say it works in a standard, like, conflict narrative way. Again, it's just more surreal and poetic. And then the potter also shares their dreams across the table. They eat food out of the bowl that the potter has made. And so you just get this really interesting, like, conversational plot, I guess is the best way to put it, dealing into surrealist dream imagery, but with a more like explicit unpacking of it within the characters' discussions. And along the way, you just get some really beautiful compositions, some things that really focus on rhythm and color and play and balance. You know, like this is just such a clean composition here. Also being able to make, like, these two could be posters on their own, but you put it all together and it makes a better image. So there's that kind of design quality to each page where I think each one of these could be taken out and printed almost as a poster, especially the ones without the dialogue. And then there's some pretty deep things in here, like this quote here: "I just want to sleep to get away from myself, a paradox because that's where the problem lies." And I really resonate with that. Like, you know, I have a lot going on in my life, and going to sleep is a real treat for me because I feel like, oh my God, I can just check out for a while. But then, yeah, it's a paradox because that's where the problem lies. That's where you go in and you're doing all the dealing with the stuff you don't want to deal with in your subconscious. And so I feel that, like, I'm so desperate to get to sleep some nights, and then I wake up like from dreams that have exhausted me. And yeah, those kind of statements throughout the book add a lot of weight to it, and that's what I'm talking about. It's almost like a poetic treatise on dealing with your stress and dreams and things like that. And then just some of these color transitions here, just looking at the pure formal beauty of this gradient fading to night and then switching over into the nighttime vision here. And then just the coloration on these broken pots and things. The rhythm of it, the color of it, all of that is so appealing to me. So really enjoyed this book. That's about as much as I want to say about it, because I think you all should go get it. This is definitely a strange and surreal book. If you're looking for something with a really straightforward, like, you know, 3-part structure or something like that, like beginning, middle, everything comes to a penultimate chapter, and then you kind of code it or wrap it off. You're not going to get that in this one. This is much more poetic and atmospheric. So, you know, it's like high recommendation for me if this is the kind of thing you enjoy. If it's not the kind of thing you enjoy, then yeah, you're probably not going to enjoy this book, because it's a very good, very deeply entrenched version of this kind of poetic, surreal approach to comics.
Turning all the soil as the bumpers stay.